Hello everyone. In this video we will discuss about our third chapter, accounting for intangible assets. We have covered the theoretical part of our second chapter, accounting for human resources, or we can call it as human resource accounting. We have left there the problematic part because whenever the offline classes will start, I'll teach you. Here it is a bit difficult to explain you, even though the GB of that video is bit high. That's why I haven't uploaded it. Okay, moving on to the third chapter, we have here to study all about the intangible assets. So what are these intangible assets? If we look at our balance sheet, we find two types of assets, that is non-current as well as the current assets. So under non-current assets, we do find two types of assets. Those are tangible assets and next one is intangible assets. So what are these tangible assets? Tangible, the term itself says that the asset which can be seen, which can be touched, which has an physical existence, right? And on the other hand, intangible assets are those assets which cannot be seen, which cannot be touched, but it can be feel. We can feel it. The best example of intangible asset is goodwill, right? The goodwill is in normal or we can say simple language, we can explain it as it's a fame, name and reputation of a company which helps to earn the more than normal profit, right? So this is all about our example, that is goodwill. So moving on to the chapter, first we have discussed about the introduction. Next we have to discuss about here the definition, features, significance, tangible versus intangible, that is the difference between tangible and intangible asset. Next we have the classification of intangible assets. This may be asked you for 15 marks or 5 marks, the classification. Next we have difficulties involved in valuation of intangible assets. Next, brand valuation, importance of brand valuation, and the methods of calculation of brand valuation also is a part of your chapter. Brand equity methods and the organization capital. Next, here we have one more item, that is for 2 marks, intellectual asset. Okay, so these are the items which we have to cover in this chapter. So what is the definition of intangible asset? An intangible asset is a capital asset having no physical existence, its value being dependent on the rights that possession confers upon the owner. So what is it? It's an capital asset having no physical existence. We know that intangible, the term intangible itself says that it has no physical existence, and the thing is that here the intangible asset provides the specific rights or benefits to the holder over several future accounting years. Okay, so this is about the intangible asset. Next we have the features here. First one is it is non-physical in nature, that is it has no physical existence, as we know that it is a tangible asset, right? Second one, it gives specific rights to the holders over several future years, which means that the best example is of leasing, as the leasehold is one of the intangible asset, where if a tenant or we can say a person can get the home for years as per the contract from the owner. So here we can say that leasing provides the right to stay in the home for agreed period of time, right? So next we have here is it increases the value when used. So how does this happen? The question arises here, how does this happen? If we take the example of goodwill, whenever the goodwill is used in the business, it increases the value of business, right? This is simple to understand. The next thing is that it is possible for multiple uses at the same time, and the last one is it is I have been mispronouncing this. It is identifiable non-monetary asset. Okay, it's not a monetary asset, it's a non-monetary asset. Next we have it has a strong network effect. it is difficult to manage and control. Obviously it is different from the tangible asset, which is easy to handle, but intangible asset is something different. It cannot be directly measured. There are some other tools to calculate the tangible asset, whereas intangibles also have so many tools, but the thing is that it becomes bit difficult to calculate. Investment in intangible asset is typically more risky as compared to the tangible asset, because you cannot assure here the guarantee, but in tangible asset you can assure the guarantee. It creates future value. The intangible assets creates future value. The best example here also is goodwill, patents, copyrights. There are so many types of intangible assets which creates the future value. We'll discuss it later. Now we have here significance of intangible assets. The first one is they give specific right to the holder over several future years. Next, these assets are expected to benefit the firm beyond the current operating cycle of the business, which means that if we invest in intangible asset, it gives us the benefit for the several years. They help the business concern to grow and expand. Obviously, that's why these are the assets. They help to maximize the sale by bringing good image to the business concern, which means that it's an example of goodwill. They speak about the reputation of the firm. Obviously, next thing is they help the business concern to carry out operation with minimum capital investment. So some of the tangible assets which requires the minimum capital investment, and some of the intangible assets are classified as which requires the more capital investments. Depends upon which intangible asset you are choosing. Okay, fine. We have here the difference between tangible and intangible. This is very simple to understand because we have been studying this tangible and intangible assets since PUC, right? So the first one here is tangible assets are physical in nature, whereas intangible assets are non-physical in nature. This is the simplest and the basic difference between tangible and intangible. Next, tangible asset directly measurable, whereas the intangible assets are not directly measurable. So see, the tangible assets like machine, vehicle, building, we can measure it, we can value them easily, directly. But in case of intangible assets, we cannot measure it properly, right? That's because they are non-physical in nature. We cannot value them or we cannot measure them properly. So this is one difference, and as well as the difficulty. Tangible assets are subject to diminishing in nature, whereas intangible assets are not subject to diminishing in nature, which means that we create, or we can say that we provide the depreciation to the tangible assets, but in case of intangible asset, we do not depreciate them, we amortize them, right? So this is the basic difference. It is not difficult to manage and control tangible asset, whereas it is difficult to manage and control intangible asset. See, the physical assets can be easily managed and controlled. We have control over it completely. But whereas intangible assets like goodwill, we cannot have complete management as well as the control over it, right? So it is bit difficult to manage. Tangible assets facilitates general functioning of a business concern, whereas intangible assets facilitates specific functioning of the business concern. Next, tangible assets can be seen, touched and have volume, whereas intangible assets cannot be seen, touched and have no volume. Investment in tangible assets is not risky, whereas the investment in intangible assets is typically more risky. So this is the common difference between tangible and intangible assets. Moving on to the next concept, that is the classification of tangible assets. So tangible assets can be classified into three main categories, whereas the first one is asset derived from legal rights, asset derived from argument between holder and outside parties, asset derived as a result of specific transactions. So what are those assets which has been derived from the legal rights? The examples are patents, copyrights, trademarks, brands, etc., right? And here the second one, asset derived from the argument between holder and outside parties. The example is leasehold, franchising, and the licensing. Lastly, asset derived as a result of specific transaction. The example of these is goodwill, preliminary expenses, deferred revenue expenditure, etc. Okay, let's take this one by one. First we have here the patents. So patent is an exclusive right granted by the government to the investors of the product, process with view to protect the rights of an investor from infringement by others. The patent may be acquired through purchase. It is reduced at acquisition cost. If the patent is developed by the business itself, the firm may consider costs like legal fee and other associated costs of securing it. The cost of research and development of the product or process are not taken into account as part of cost of patent. The next one here we have copyrights. So copyrights are granted by also the government to the holder of the copyright, which has the exclusive right to publish, produce and sell artistic, musical or literacy works. The copyright holder is sold their right to the publisher or other parties interested in the copyright material. The accounting treatment of copyrights are, first one, if the copyright is purchased from the other parties, it is recorded at acquisition cost. And the second one, if the copyright is developed by the firm itself, the legal fee and the other associated cost accrue for development of copyrights are recorded. Okay. The third one here we have leasehold. Leasehold refers to a right to occupy land or building and under long-term rental contracts. It is concerned with the right transferred to the lease by the leaser for the period of lease. However, at the beginning of the lease, the business unit is required to pay substantial amount in order to hold the lease. Accounting treatment is to amortize cost over the estimated useful of lease. The next one we have deferred revenue expenditure. It's an expenditure which arises during the course of business hours in the business. The benefit of such expenditure are likely to accrue over several accounting periods. The deferred revenue expenditure includes cost of specific advertisement, market development cost, etc. The deferred revenue expenditure is amortized over which benefits are likely to accrue. The next one we have goodwill. Goodwill indicates capacity to earn. This arises due to various reasons. For example, or we can say high caliber of its manpower, good infrastructure, location advantage, established brand name advantage, customer loyalty, sound relation with employees and sound management. The goodwill may be purchased or estimated. The purchase goodwill arises when an enterprise acquires other business and pays a price in excess of the market value. If enterprise estimates its extraordinary profit earning in future and capitalize the expected additional future earnings. The accounting treatment of regarding goodwill is debit goodwill for the acquisition cost and amortized it over reasonable life. Next we have trademark and brand name. The trademark is a visual symbol or mark in the form of word or group of letters or combination of these or label adopted and used by a company. It is applied on the articles with a view to indicate to the purchasing public to identify their products or services and distinguish them from products or services of others. The accounting treatment is debit. The accounting treatment is debit brand for the acquisition cost and amortized it over several life. Next we have here is franchising. So, franchising is a system for selectively distributing goods or services through outlets owned by the retailer or dealer. Basically, franchising is a patent or trademark or license entitling the holders to market particular product or services under a brand name or trademark, accounting to predetermined terms and conditions. Accounting treatment for franchising or licensing for the acquisition cost and amortize it over a reasonable life. Next we have is preliminary expenses. These expenses are incurred at the time of promotion, flotation or incorporation of a company. For example, printing the memorandum and articles of association, prospectus, etc. Legal expenses incurred in promoting company, stamp duty and registration fees, cost of advertising, prospectus, cost of companies, real and statutory books, etc. Preliminary expenses are of capital nature, but these are not represented by available assets, and as such they should be written off out of profit within some years. Income Tax Act 1961 permits such expenses to written over 10 years for income tax purpose. So these are all about our classification of the intangible assets. So next we have here is difficulties involved in valuation. This have not been yet asked in your exams. I have been what I can say is that I have seen 3 to 4 years question paper. This question hasn't yet asked, so it doesn't mean that they won't ask this for this time. Study this. This is easy. Calculation of precise replacement cost is rather a difficult task. Second one is, it is difficult to estimate normal income generated by intangible assets for charging at a constant rate over time. It is difficult to extract the expected return on the investment analysis, typically used market derived cost of capital. It is very difficult to make good market comparison of sales and licenses transactions due to rare disclosure of information relating to such transactions. It is often difficult to decide on the present value discount rates. It is also difficult to estimate the useful life of an intangible asset such as trademarks, secret formulas, goodwill, etc. Next, the main thing is here to study all about our brand valuation. So what is our brand valuation? Meaning of it is, brand valuation is the job of estimating the total financial value of the brand. Like the valuation of any product or self-review, a conflict of interest exists if those the brand also were involved in its transactions. So brand valuation is the process used to calculate the value of brand. When the brand the value annu ಮೌಲ್ಯ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, that's only called as brand valuation. The process of it. Historically, most of the company's value was in intangible assets such as properly sick machinery or land. This has now changed, and majority of companies' value is in intangible assets such as their brand name, right? So which includes 6 key requirements. Brand valuation require 6 key elements. First one is transparency, next validity, reliability, sufficiency and objectivity. Lastly, financial, behavioral and legal parameters. So if these elements are included, then we can say we can valuate the brand. Okay, so these are the requirements to valuate the brand. Next we have here is importance of brand valuation under the merger and acquisition, licensing, financing and brand review, budget allocation, which we will discuss in the next video.